You?
No one knows. I've had this condition for over 5 years, and I've been through all sorts of medications and doctors and homeopaths and naturopaths.
Right.
And basically, it's congestion by my nose. I've had nasal surgery. I've had endoscopies. I'm on the verge of a colonoscopy because of inflammation, and as of yet, no precise diagnosis and no.
Wow, that's amazing.
No.
Was it $1 trillion billion medical system, and we can't know what this is? Right. So, symptoms. What are your symptoms?
Symptoms are a really heavy produced mucus which I can't swallow, and it sticks in my throat.
Right.
And I can hear my esophagus sticking together, and after each swallow, it opens up again. And I've been on PPIs for over 10 years for reflux.
Right.
I have been diagnosed after the endoscopy with hiatus hernia.
All right.
As well.
Okay. Yeah.
Whether or not that is, it's all part of the same condition,
Right.
but they refuse. Well, I say the medical establishment don't seem to correlate this with that or that with this, and you go to one specialist and you say, I also have this problem, and they say, no, that's not my area of expertise. Go to another
crazy?
store.
It's crazy, isn't it? A child would know that was
So I've been
crazy.
round and round the system many times.
All right. So we want to fix this, whatever's happening behind the nose that is causing this gunk, this mucus, as a first step. That would improve your quality of life, eh?
Well, it would be. I'd wake up with a huge smile on my face.
So would the missus, no doubt. Eh? Yeah. So what's your first name?
Ian.
Ian, right. So I just asked for healing for Ian, and I'm curious to know what the doctors are going to say about what this is about. Move this out of the way. Cool. Okay. So what he's saying to me in very simplistic terms. Now legally, I'm not allowed to diagnose. So I'll just explain. In the UK. And in New Zealand, I'm not allowed to diagnose. So if I feel like somebody's got cancer, I can't say you've got cancer. It will be totally irresponsible of me to do that, because I could be wrong, and you might cause undue worry to a person, yeah? Only people that can run the test can diagnose. So I'm not going to do any diagnosis. But what's happening here within the body, I can tell you what's happening, is you've got a defense mechanism in here. We've got a defense mechanism to fight off bugs. You know, if there's a bug out there, let's say there's a measles infection out there, the first line of defence is not to get exposed to the measles. Now, when I was a kid, I don't know about you, but as soon as anybody got measles, it was measles party. We all went round. Why did we all go round? Because it would boost our immune system. And it did. Yeah? My kids are both resistant to measles because they caught measles when they were little. We let them catch it. Was there any health warnings that, isolation and this is a dangerous disease that's life-threatening? That might actually be false news then, eh? Might actually be false news. How many people died of measles in New Zealand last year? Tell me. Go on, tell me. Have a guess. 0.
None.
Year before? Year before?
0.
Year before?
1.
No. No, 0 still. Keep going back a few years. We've got to go back to 2011, 2012. Seriously, before we even find a death. And then it's not even a death from measles, it's a death from a complication caused by the measles, either pneumonia or encephalitis, which is a swelling of the brain. Yeah, and it's when measles goes untreated, most of us, if we've got a kid with measles, we're going to make sure they get right treatment. Right. So, first line of defence against any disease, you stay away from it, usually, yeah? But there are certain circumstances where you may want the child to catch a disease to give them immunity. Now, second line of defence is something like the measles, somebody might breathe on you. It is quite contagious, measles, isn't it? That's true, that bit's true. It is highly contagious. But inside of here you've got hairs, haven't you? Yeah, and you've got mucus. So you can get rid of it through the protective system here. Then it's still got to get through your system, and you've got an immune system to defend yourself. And what's happening for here in Ian is this defence mechanism in here has been triggered by something. And it's in your past, Ian, and I would say it's paint. Lots and lots and lots of paint. Does that sound right? Sorry.
Spot on.
How many of you, were you a paint sprayer? Or
I'm a painter.
oh, well, knock me down with a feather.
Those
Sorry.
sort of things, not walls, artists.
Ah, right, okay. But you've been inhaling fumes from either acrylics or oils or whatever, yeah? Okay, and what's happened is in here, the nose has gone into, got to get this stuff out, got to get this stuff out. But am I right in thinking you're not as exposed so much to paint now as you used to be?
It's my contact with those sort of substances has fluctuated over the years. Of late, I've done more, but been more aware of ventilation and what have you. And but I seem to tolerate the paint a bit better at the moment,
Yeah.
as though this condition has sort of levelled out to be constantly there. And
yeah. So have any of these doctors that you've seen in the past asked you about paint?
they've asked me what I do for a living, and but none of them has specifically attributed
So either does. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But you can imagine if you're exposed to something for a long length of time, this is your like your defence system, and it's trying to clear it. So we've sort of got to reboot your system. And you're quite right, when you paint with paint in the future, you've got to make sure there is proper ventilation in there. And it could be that paint's having improved quality over the years. I don't know. Toxicity hopefully has got less. There was a time where all your children's toys were made of lead. You know, and lead paint as well, and we had lead in the lipstick as well. I sometimes do a little clip of film. If I see any ladies in the audience with red lipstick, I get them out the front. None of you have got bright enough lipstick, but if you've got a bright red lipstick, and if you bought a cheaper one, and even if you bought a really darned expensive one, they can have lead in straight into your blood supply. You're wondering why you're getting headaches? Lipstick. Yeah. Right, okay, so that's most likely the cause. That's most likely the cause. Okay. So now we've still got to fix it. We've still got to fix it. And what we need to do is we need to like do a reset. It's like a factory reset. His nose has got so used to the fumes being there, it's doing this thing. But the fumes aren't there all the time. And so we need to do, it's like a factory reset in here. Now, any sensation for you, Ian? What's happening? Any warmth, any tingling, any funny sensations anywhere?
Not that I can.
No? Okay, okay. Now, as luck would have it, when I was in the UK last year, there was, he didn't know it, but a man wrote to me about, he'd heard me do the E's, and he said, we really need to put those into music. And he wrote to me, and as I received his email, he was like my favourite musician. A guy called Medwin Goodall, who wrote, his best-selling one is called Medicine Woman, which is quite fitting. He's up to Medicine Woman 8 now. I might be Medicine Woman. And so I got to go into his studio, and we put the sound into music. So we're just going to give you a little taste of that. Miriam, if we can play Restoration from Restoration CD. So I've got 3 different CDs over there. One is a singing CD, I'll tell you about that a little while later on. But for this condition here, in the sinuses here, and in the nose here, we need restoration. And so what I'm going to recommend for Ian is that this particular track, he puts on headphones and he lets the sound and the vibration go through into this nasal cavity, because we've got to press restore. It's like a reboot on a phone or a computer. We've got to reboot the system. If we can do that, his life's going to go back to normal. All right, so this is what it sounds like. You won't get the full effect here because you've not got it in stereo sound, but you guys can join in with the healing if you like, just by sitting with your arms uncrossed and your hands like that. And join me making a sound. Go on, ready? If you don't want to do an E, just do a hum. Vibration to clear the energy that's just blocked. It's like there's a foreign body in there. I'm not saying there is a foreign body in there. Remember, I'm not allowed to diagnose. It's like there's a foreign body in there, and the mucus is being constantly produced to try and get rid of the foreign body. Whether there is a foreign body in there or not is immaterial. I don't expect for 1 minute that there is, but it's triggering that response. Ayurvedic medicine's been around for about 5,000 years. This is a cold condition. Anything that's like mucus forming, it's a cold and damp condition. And so Ian can also help on an energetic level by eating things that are hot. Onions, garlic, chilies, spices, anything that's hot to generate heat within the system. Album's got 5 different tracks on there, all for different things. There's one to open the heart, there's one called Pilgrimage, which is you turning inwards to God or to your own higher self. This track, Restoration, is factory reset, restoring a part of the body or a system to how it used to be. Sensations within the ear?
A bit lightheaded.
A bit lightheaded, right? So we're going to have to see how you go over the next, I would say it's over the next 21 days. We'll keep in touch. I'm going to gift you one of those CDs to put on to listen. You can either download it to your phone or you can take away a CD, whichever you prefer, and get you listening to that as you go to sleep each night, and we'll check how you are in 21 days.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.